Alright, so we've got Josie here. We are going to just go through kind of the last portion of just her already being in a sit and having the gunfire with her. So making sure she's steady through the bumper, through gunfire, through all of our drills. What we've done is, since the first video with the gunfire, we've taken her through each one of those steps of steadiness and just layered gunfire over top of it and made sure she stayed, right? If she got up, stop her, put her back in the spot, go pick up the dummy, do a few denials, make sure that she tries to run after this. I'd say nope, step in front, pick up the bumper, throw it a couple times to show her that's not what I want. She can't break, right? So now she's steady, and we're going to just show you where she's at as far as steadiness wise, and then we'll show you the next step of steadiness. So Josie, come here. Good girl, come on. Good. All right, up. So I'm gonna put her right here. So I'm gonna be slightly behind her just because this is more temptation for the dog to break. Josie. Good girl. Up. All right, so as you can see, rock solid, steady. We also have been firing multiple times as well to make sure she'll stay steady with multiple gunshots. Me saying false start words like chicken, bacon, eggs, grits, potatoes, names, things that aren't her release to go fetch, and make sure she stays. So the next thing we got to do is we have to get her to sit on gunfire. And so what I like to do is, now that she's comfortable with gunfire, all that, I'm going to get her walking around, and then I'm going to fire the gun. Then I'm going to blow the whistle. So gunfire comes first, then I'm going to pop the whistle. If she sits, when she sits, I'll throw her a retrieve, right? So I'm going to get her running around. So your dog prerequisite, your dog has to be able to sit to a whistle. So if you haven't done that yet, you got to go back and get your dog sitting to a whistle. So Josie, okay, come on. Good girl. So we're here. Here, leave it. Come here. Good girl. Josie. Good girl. Good. Out. So right there you saw, I fired, she already went ahead and sat because she's used to. We've been doing all these drills with her sitting, me firing, and she knows what's coming up, right? She knows if she sits down, the gunfire, it kind of means stay still. It doesn't mean go, because I didn't introduce gunfire with her running after something, right? So if you had to introduce gunfire with her running after something because she was nervous with it or a little bit, just not very comfortable with gunfire at first, then you're gonna have to work a lot harder in that area. So when you fire it, you're gonna have to blow the whistle, really get on them, make sure they stop, then throw them a bumper, right? But for her, as soon as I pulled up to shoot, she started sitting already, and this is the first time we've done that part. I went ahead, popped the whistle after I shoot just to remind her to stay, then I threw the retrieve. And so that's all we really need to do as far as a drill, is just have her running around, moving around, pop that whistle, or shoot that gun, pop the whistle, then throw the dummy right now. Once they're perfect there, then we can move on to the next step. All right, so for the next part of steadiness that we're going to work on, we've gotten the dog to where they're sitting every time they hear a gunshot, right? And so what we've done is, So what we've done is place some tennis balls out in this little field off to the side, just to, one over here, one over there, 10, 15 yards apart, for her to find. So we're going to be using her nose, getting her to get out away from us to look, because if we have a bumper in our hand and the dog gets used to, we start doing the gunfire drill and they sit every time, what the dog's going to do is just going to start sitting and staying sitting there. It's not going to, it's not going to run around and take its attention off of you, right? So we need to get the dog learning to go out and hunt stuff. So we should have already done this earlier by planting tennis balls out in fields or bumpers out in fields and getting the dog to go find them. And so now we're just incorporating a little bit of steadiness aspect of after they find one on their own, the next time they go hunt over to a spot, once they get in the cover where I want them to go, I'm going to fire the gun, pop the whistle, throw the bumper. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to start off, we're going to pip the whistle at the dog, get the dog's attention if they're not looking at you. Then we're going to tell the dog high on and cast them in the direction that we want them to go. Now usually you want them to cast into the wind, right? So you're where the wind is going, basically. You don't want to cast them right into, like if the wind's coming from left to right, or right to left, I don't want to cast them to the right, because then they're just going to go a couple feet, turn around, and go where the wind's going. I want to cast them where the wind is going, right? If it's coming straight at us, you can just pick your side whichever way you want to cast them. If it's going at our backs, same thing. Pick your side whichever way you want to cast them. If it's diagonally, coming across this way, we want to cast. If it's coming from here to there, I want to cast them off this way so they can get a good, solid portion of this field in their nostrils to find game and find what they want. And then just flip it around for the other side. So here we go. Gonna tie 'em. Good girl, here. Good. So, you found a tennis ball. Now I'm gonna, so she found a tennis ball, now I'm gonna cast her off again, and this time I'm gonna fire the gun. So it just helps keep the dog, get the dog away from you when you're doing these drills, all right? Good. Good girl. Josie. Good girl. Here. Good girl, good girl. Here. Good. Here. Good girl. Out. So she brings it in, perfect. Exactly what I want. I want her a little bit sharper on that sit, so she didn't quite sit right away. She looked and did a little hop, but she stopped herself. So we'll do it one more time and see if we can't get that nice sit. So, Josie, hi, come on, Josie, hi, ready? Here, ready, hi. Good girl, good girl. Good girl, good girl. So she found another one that I forgot about. Now we're gonna do the drills here. Come. Good girl. Good girl. Josie. So this is our first time doing this drill, this part of it, right? Combining everything together. So you see how she's a little bit like, okay, after I shot the first one, she's a little sticky on me, like, okay, are we doing the sit drill where I wait and you throw stuff? Or do I need to go hunt again? So I just teased her up a little bit. She went in there. She's not flying around like she will be when we put her on birds, where they're gonna flush up and she starts getting that true hunting instinct in her. But she's moving around good. Right there in the middle of that second one, which is the one I ended it on, she sat as soon as I shot. So she sat and looked the direction that I shot. So she, as soon as I shot, her head looked at me and looked straight to where I was shooting, which is what I want. So I want them to look in the direction that my shot goes, because that is going to take them to where the bird is that I've shot if they didn't flush it, right? So if we have a bird get up that the dog doesn't flush, if you're hunting, you're going to shoot that bird. You're not going to leave it, you know, you're not going to shoot it because your dog didn't flush it, right? So you shoot it, your dog needs to sit up and look to where you shot so you don't have a blind retrieve on your hand, right? So you can mark it down, see where it fell. So this trains the dog to, when they hear that gunshot in close proximity, right? Not stuff that's super far away, but in close proximity, they're going to sit, look up, and look for where the bird fell so that they can mark it down. But right there is perfect for what I want, and then I'm going to keep doing this drill in different places on the farm, and do a lot more of her hunting and finding different objects. So like I'll plant some more rabbit. I'll do probably all rabbit pelt dummies one day where I put those out, or whatever your dog's favorite retrieving object to find is out in the field, right? Because we haven't introduced live birds yet, right? So we're doing this all with bumpers, and we're going to have them quarter in front of us and just get used to hunting in cover, finding things in cover, right? So we want to put those things in cover and maybe drag. If you've got a bumper, you can drag the scent from the out of the cover into the cover just to help young puppies out. But you're going to do that and just have the dog quarter the nice field, and every once in a while shoot, expect them to sit. Once they've got that down, then we can move on to our next step with steadiness, and then we're pretty close at that point to steadying on actual birds.